Right.
All right, it's March 4th, and this is session 11. So, 8 Angestellte haben gearbeitet in der Concessia. 8 employees worked in the concession. Nach der Arbeit waren schlafen gehen, pflegen sich alle zusammengekommen bei Christengerin in Zimmer. After work, before going to sleep, they would gather in Christengar's room. Sein Zimmer is gewesen der größte und bequemste. His room was the largest and the most comfortable. Spielen konnten, sich erzählen Witzen, pikante Messelach, schmusen wegen Freuen und Mädlach. So what would they do? They would play cards. They would tell jokes. They would tell picanti stories, and they would gossip about or chat about women and girls. Und übergegeben mit aller Detailen der Erfahrungen, welche sie haben gehabt mit gewissen Freuen, schwarze und weiße. And they would tell with all glorious detail their experiences that they had with certain women, black and white. Die erste paar Abenden noch Mails kommen in der is gewesen die Attraction. The first couple of evenings that Mayer came, he was the main show. He was the attraction. Man hat sich von ander gefragt, von wann kommt. They all asked him, inquired where he came from, wie lang is schon in Land, how long he has been in this land, wo und wie lang hat früher gearbeitet, where and for how long he had worked earlier. Andere seien euch gewesen neugierig zu wissen, was es tut sich in der alte Heim. There were some who were curious about what was going on in the old country. Von wannen sie seien weg mit Juren zurück. The countries that they had, places that they had left years before. Davon hat mehr gedrungen, als sie lehen nicht oder lehen gar wenig jüdische Zeitungen. From this, Mayer was able to, he concluded that they're not readers, or they read very little, or is it almost nothing, of the Jewish press. Der größte Teil von sie ist schon gewesen a Sachjuren in Africa. The bulk of them, the majority of them, had already been many years in Africa. Amol haben sie noch gezertelt, hoffening sich umzukehren zurück heim. Some of them, sometimes they had the hope, or they expressed the hope that they would return to the old home. Aber jetzt haben sie sich schon myoish gewähnt davon. But now that they were already, they had given up that hope. Sie trachten nur abzusparen a bissel Geld. They were thinking just to save a little bit of money und sich settlen da in Land. And I hope I'm not causing an echo there, and to settle, to establish themselves in this land. Christingale hat gesagt,
Hat gesagt.
Meir, du hast Mazel. Meir, you have luck. Oder Emetzer hat a großen Einfluss auf den Balabus. Either you have a lot of luck or someone has a very large influence on the boss. Worum nimmt kein Mal nicht, because he never takes anybody in, kein royen arbiter by him in Geschäft, because he never takes anyone, any raw or new, I guess it was raw workers into the business. Der welcher sucht a Stelle is der Konzessia, der welche sucht a Stelle in der Konzessia darf können reden wenigstens Zulu oder Sesotho. Anyone who is looking for work, for a position in the concession, has to speak at least Zulu or Sesotho. I have no idea what those two languages are. And since we're muted, we'll have to wait and maybe we'll fill that in later. Ella haben maskim gewein. The others agreed. Schutzsprachen darf man haben Protektia oder gute Papieren. Outside of the languages, the others agreed. Outside of the languages, you have to have some kind of a pull, inside track there, or good papers, whatever that is, good papers. Christingal hat übergehazet die Werte von dem Balabus. Christingal repeated the words that had been spoken by the Balabus. I don't think we know his name. Ob du wirst sein gehorsam, hören, sehen und schweigen. If you are compliant, listen, and are quiet, see, and are silent, wirst du haben an ewigen Job. If you follow these rules, you listen, you see, and you're quiet, you'll have an eternal job here. You'll be set here for life. Und dennoch hat einem bemerkt, and afterwards somebody remarked, wird man dir geben dem besten Ort auf den Beis Oilem. And afterwards they're going to give you the best place in the cemetery. Alle haben gelacht. This is Kapitel 14. Christingel is gewesen der Mamuna über alle Arbeiter. Christingar was the supervisor over all the workers, weiße und schwarze, white and black. Is gewesen der Verwalter und Akrov von der Balabuste. He was the manager and a relative of the wife of the Balabus, the wife of the boss. Alle Inyanim in Shaykhs mit die Arbeiter is gewesen in sein Rashus. All of the issues that pertained to the workers were under his, not protection, under his control. Elatinus und Menus, was an Arbeiter hat gehabt, the complaints and the, I don't know what a Menus is, that the workers had, hat gedarft bringen zu Christingen, had to be brought to him. Und ob Christingar hat gedenkt, als man darf es verlegen von Balabus, hat es getan. And if Christinger thought that this must be related to the boss, he brought it to him. Ob nicht, hat es vergessen. And if he didn't think so, if he didn't think it was important for the boss to see, he would forget about it. Und vergessen hat das Rov, die Teilness von jener Arbeiter, and he would generally forget those complaints of those workers, welche haben nicht gehabt kein Chen in seine Augen. And he would generally forget those complaints which from the workers that were not pleasing in his eyes. Jene, those, welche haben ihm nicht geglätt mit die Haar herab, those whose complaints would be forgotten, those who didn't sort of stroke him with the Haar herab. I don't know what that means. Haben sich nicht gehanefet zu him, who didn't compliment him, who didn't, give him all the compliments and make him the mighty one over them. Und azoi haben asach klages nit der Greich dem Bolabus. And therefore, a lot of the klages, I could just think it's kloges, the wails or the complaints, didn't reach the boss. Meir hat das alt gich ausgefunden. Meir quickly discovered all of this. Gedei zu verfestigen sein Position, in order to strengthen, verfestigen his position, zu können verdienen und fordern a höheren Lohn, to earn and to demand or request a higher salary, hat beschlossen, sich reinzuleben in einem Leben von die Angestellte und stehen in freundlicher Beziehungen mit Christingern. So in order to fortify his position there and to get more wages, he had decided that he would weave himself into the life of the workers and that he would be in a very friendly relationship with Christingar. Hat sich gelernt spielen Karten. He learned how to play cards. Und in freundlich Karten und hat verbracht schon spielendig mit sie. And he had verbracht, I would say verbrennt, and he passed many hours playing with them. Hat, wie man sagt es, geguckt Christingerin in die Zähne. Hat gewalt auf, so he did, as it is said, looked at Christingar in the teeth. Again, an expression I'm not familiar with. Hat gewalt auf seine Befehlen. He waited. He paid attention to his orders. Hat nicht gefragt, kein Kasches, wenn Christingar hat ihm geheißen, arbeiten später in Abend. He didn't ask any questions when Christingar ordered him to work later in the evening. Im Befehlen, soll öffnen die Tieren von Shop früher wie ständig, when he asked him to open the doors of the shop earlier than usual. Und auf Christingars Verlang hat gearbeitet a filu in seiner Urlaubtag, and even on Christingar's request, he had worked on his free days, his Urlaubtag, wenn hat gedarf sein in Stadt ruhen, when he really was meant to be in the city resting. A Zeit, efter 4-5 Chadoshim, hat gelebt sehr Leben. So for a while, perhaps 4-5 months, he lived their life, the lives of the 7 other workers. Gewein einer von sie, he became one of them. Gespielt Karten, played cards, geheilt und allein euch erzählt anständige Witzen, and he listened to, and he himself told not respectable jokes und Messerlach and stories, and Gerät Nibelpe, and spoke vulgarities.
Aber trotz aller Anstrengungen ist Meyer nicht gelungen, sich im Ganzen überzumachen. I'm sorry, I just need help with that sentence.
Okay, whoever wants. But despite all his efforts, Mayer did not succeed. Gelungen succeed altogether in Ganzen überzumachen, to change, to make himself over.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good for him. Good for him.
Zu wären Punkt wie einer von sie, he never really became one of them. Oft durch Nacht hat getracht, ist von an ander Tag geknotten. Often in the evening, he would think he baked from a different dough. He was kneaded from a different dough. Oder is narrischer, or he's a fool. Redendig mit seiner Sprach und nachtundig seine Meisim verwandelt sich doch in an ekeldicke Bräue.
It's Bria creature, ekeldicke Bria is a loathsome creature.
So, but speaking
with their language,
right, mm-hmm.
and Nachtun
Copying.
Copying their stories. He verwandelt sich. He
changes himself.
He changed himself into some kind of a vile creature.
Yeah.
Tief in sich fühlt doch an Ekel zu dem Alet. I'm sorry, can you please help me again, Moshe?
Deep in himself, he, however, feels a revulsion to all of this.
Mm-hmm.
An opstoßendicken Gefühl, he wants to push it away, a feeling of wanting to push it away.
Okay, I'll try one more sentence, but if it's too hard, I'll give up the baton to the next person. Noch an Abend von Kartenspiel, after an evening of playing cards, schmutzige Rede und sexuelle Barimereien, after card playing and dirty talk about sexual Barimereien, is that experiences?
No, boastful. Barimen.
Yeah. Boast.
Sexual boasting.
Boasting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Barimereien, boasting. fühlt sich umrein. Fühlt, als nötigt sich in a heißer Bad. What is umrein?
Unclean,
Dirty.
dirty,
He felt
Dirty.
unclean.
he felt dirty. He felt as though he had been immersed in a hot bath. Was tut es? Why was he doing this? Zu lieb was steht sich auf a Bulvan, a grober
Yeah.
Jung. For what purpose is he remaining in this? What is Bulvan?
No, a moron. For what purpose? Schneidenzich is, why does he aspire to become a Bulvan, a moron, a grober Jung, a boor?
Okay.
Isn't that
Thank
a
you.
great
I'm
expression?
sorry.
Was schneit sich? Like, why is he cutting himself? Why is he fashioning himself? Like a Schneider, a tailor. Why is he
Uh,
tailoring himself to be such a bulvan? Ah, wow.
a grober Jung is a crude young person.
Yeah, a
Yeah,
boor.
grub.
A bore. A bore. Okay. Could somebody else take over, please?
Okay. Who else is there here? Is it just the,
No, you're next. You're next.
oh, okay. Um,
Was gewohnt
okay.
damit?
Was gewinnt damit? What does he gain by this? What does he win? Geen in Christinger's Augen does he find favor in Christinger's eyes. So was sich handven and why flatter, sich der Niedrigen, lower himself, sich losen ausnutzen, allow himself to be used, sich beugen vor allem and bowing in front of everyone, losen Lawson Soul threatened of him, allowing himself to be used, threatened to be stamped upon.
Mhm.
Wird man ihm denn entzogen von der Stelle, er wird reden wie ein unständiger Mensch, will they fire him from his position if he will speak like a reasonable, a polite, a gentlemanly person, und sich nicht tubbeln in Schmutz and not dipping himself in the dirt. Sind Arbeiter hat ein Buch in Hand nicht genommen. Since he's working here, he hasn't even taken a book into his hands. Und hat sich doch herumgetrogen mit Chaloimas zu studieren. And after all, he had carried around within himself dreams of studying to der gain Wissen und Chochma von Lernen, to achieve knowledge and wisdom from reading. Chutztem trok auf sein Gewissen als eins, was peinigt him. But aside from this, he carries on his conscience that which tortures him, was macht ihm unzufrieden, and it dissatisfies him. Weiß, he knows, fühlt und überzeugt und ist überzeugt, als darf, muss reden. He knows and he feels and is convinced that he has to speak up. Aber die Wörter von einem Ballerboss, but the words of the boss, wie euch von Christinger, the words from Christinger, halten ihm ab von reden, prevent him from speaking. Hören, sehen und schweigen, hearing, seeing, and nevertheless keeping quiet, haben sie ihm gesagt. That's what they told him. Then zeter tafka sach, he really sees a lot. Zet le moshel wie mi verbeit dem gekauften Artikel auf a Prostern. He sees, for example, how they exchange something that has been bought as something more expensive for a simpler one, a billigeren, a cheaper one. So they're cheating their customers. Der Schwarzer Koine bemerkt es nicht. the black customer doesn't notice this. Das wird getan hinter seinen Rücken. It's all done behind his back. Hat euch gesehen, als wenn der Käufer schafft sich, als man hat ihm verbieten, den Artikel, schreit man auf ihm. And he has also seen that when the buyer becomes aware, catches on, that they have changed the article, they yell at him. Men beschuldigt dem keiner, they blame the customer, als will rauskriegen den besseren Artikel für a billigeren Preis. They accuse him that he wants to get a better article for a cheaper price. Oft kommt es zu a Geschläge darüber. Often it comes to a fight around this. Das also hat Meyer getrogen auf sein Gewissen, and Meyer was bearing all of this on his conscience. For was redt nicht mit say? Why doesn't he speak to them? Steitsch, man nimmt bei armen Arbeiter Geld. It means that they take money from the poor worker, Geld verdient mit bitteren Schweiß, money earned with bitter sweat, ständig das Leben in Gefahr, placing his life in danger, und man gibt ihm nicht den richtigen Artikel, and they don't give him the correct article. Wird sagen, he will tell them, ich kann verstehen, I can understand, kann mich berechtigt das nicht, although I do not justify it, ob das tut der Boss allein, even if the boss himself does it. Hat bezahlt 10,000 Pfund for der Concession. He paid 10,000 pounds for the concession. Will werden reich, he wants to get rich. Ich reich werden, get rich quickly. Der materieller Erfolg ist der Kern von sein Leben. Material success is the nucleus of his life. Aber ihr Lohnarbeiter, that you wage workers, to reinforce my geht dem dosigen Verbrechen. Why are you committing this crime? Ihr helpt nur reicher machen die Reiche. You are only helping the rich to get richer. Ihr robbt die Arme für der Teufel von dem Reichen. You are robbing the poor for the good of the rich. Was kommt euch heraus davon, and what do you gain by this? Ihr habt es nicht gedacht, you shouldn't have done this, nicht getan, you were not allowed to do it. Wenn viele man wollte euch singen dazu, even if you would be forced to do this, also wird say, sagen, that is what Meir will tell them. Aber wird noch abwarten, but he'll wait a while, weil ist gewinnsicher, because he was sure, kaum wird reden, wird unwährend die Stelle. As soon as he starts talking, he will lose his job, und ihm lustig nicht, wieder herumzugehen, arbeitslos. And he doesn't wish to go round again unemployed. Trotzdem hat gegeben sein Wort dem Vater. And aside from that, he had given his word to his father. Wird schweigen bis nur a gewisser Zeit. He will keep quiet bis noch a gewisser Zeit, until a certain time, bis wird haben abgespart a gewisse Summe, until he has saved a certain amount of money, and then what?
Okay. A Trist und a Befriedigung für sein Gewissen hat gefunden in dem Fakt, was Gufa hat es keinmal nicht getan. Some a comfort and a satisfaction for his conscience he found in the fact that he himself had never done any of this. Die Schwarze haben es gich ausgefunden. The blacks found this out very quickly. Und sie pflegen bestehen auf dem, als soll sie bedienen. And they insisted on that he should serve them, he should help them. Aber der Protest gegen dem ist gekommen früher von anderen. But the protest against this came sooner than a different one. Sooner than later, I think it probably means. Von dem, was man hat ihm gerufen, Kaferitnik. So it came from the fact that they called him a Kaferitnik, a man who was working in this eating house.
I don't understand that. Maybe it will become clear as we read why they called him that. That's the eating house there, yeah?
So this next to the shop,
the concession,
there was the eating house.
Yeah.
And that was called a kafarita, this black native eating house. So a kafaritnik is one who works in the eating house. Is gewesen a younger bocher. He was a young fellow. In ganzen etliche Jahr in Land. So he was he'd only been several.
Is he describing himself? I mean, is this is gewesen?
Yeah,
who is Er is Mayor, or is somebody else?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm not sure because he hadn't been in the country for several years. He'd only been there for a short period of time, a year or maybe 18 months. So I'm not sure who the heir is.
It sounds like the heir is a different guy.
Yeah.
It says the protest is gekommen früher von an anderen. So we must be talking about that other guy.
Yeah, the guy who maybe works in this black eating place. And I think Elke is correct. He was a young man who was several years in the land. And so it's not mayor. Somebody else is protesting.
Somebody else, yes. It's not clear though from the text.
It'll probably become clear as we read, I suspect.
Yeah.
Okay. So protestiert hat nicht direkt wegen die nicht ehrliche Behandlung. So he didn't protest directly against this dishonest behavior von die Schwarze, this dishonest dealing with the blacks, nor wegen das schlechte Fleisch, was man kauft für die Jatke in Kafarita. But so the protest came not from the dishonest treatment of the blacks, but from the bad meat which they bought, which the butchery bought for use in the kafarita. And it's at the bottom of the page, it says, von die Wärter Kaffer eating Heus. That's what a kafarita is. Kafarita restaurant, this for Schwarze, the eating house for the blacks, was hat sich gefunden bei der Jatke. And the eating house was to be found next to the butchery. Die Kafariter zusammen mit der Jatke haben weggenommen a größten Teil von der Gebäude. This eating house, together with the butchery, took up a large portion of the building. Der Deal von Kafarita is gewinn von Bretter. The floor of the eating house was made out of planks, erterweise zerspalten oder zerbrochen, and in places the floor was split, these planks were split or broken. Die Fensters seien gewinn kleiner, verstäubter und erterweise verwebt mit Spinnwebs. The windows were small and covered in dust, and in some places covered over with spider webs. Lange hilsene Tischen mit Bänk seinen gestanden längeus die Wand. Long wooden tables with benches were standing lengthwise along the walls. In und herum der Kafarita ist ständig gehangener Reich. In and around this eating house, there was this smell constantly there. Wie von tote Cats, a smell of dead cats, und verfeulte Grinsen and rotten vegetables. Was hat oft der langt bis in Schoppereien. And this very often this smell came into the shop. Sommerzeit haben Millionen Fliegen belagert die Fensters. In the summertime, millions of flies besieged the windows, die Tischen, die Politzes. They besieged the windows, the tables, the shelves, das Brot und Fleisch, and also the bread and the meat. Sie haben gefunden a frühzeitigen Tod in heiße Tee und Suppe, and these flies found an untimely death in the hot tea or soup, und haben sich ausgebackt in Fleischbulkes, and they were baked in these meat buns, was die Schwarze haben stark lieb gehabt, which the blacks liked very much. Der Kaferitnik is gewinn a stiller, arbeitsamer Mensch. So this person, the Kaferitnik, the one who worked in the eating house, he was a quiet, industrious man. Hat getan sein Arbeit, und der Balabos ist gewinn zufrieden. He did his work, and the boss was satisfied with him. Aber eine Zeit hat sich genommen klagen, but once he started to complain, as das Fleisch was man hat die letzte Zeit angefangen bringen, is von dem ärgsten und billigsten Sort. He began to complain that the meat that they had brought in recent times was of the worst and the cheapest kind. Kritchinger hat ihm auf dem geantwortet, as es ist nicht sein Eisig. Kritchinger answered him about this complaint that it wasn't his business. Darf tun sein Arbeit und nicht fragen kein Kasches und nicht kommen mit kein Teines. What he needed to do was his work, and he shouldn't ask questions, and he shouldn't come with any complaints. Der Arbeiter hat bemerkt, this worker remarked, die Schwarze sind euch Menschen. These black people are also humans. Und gut, was man beschwindelt sei in Shop, kormet man sei mit Begierefleisch. And besides the fact that they cheat them in the shop, they feed them rotten meat. Die dosige Bemerkung hat ihm gekost die Stelle. This remark cost him his job. Das hat geführt dazu, als der Ballerboss hat sich genommen ausfragen bei seinen Gehilfen, was jener hat gemeint, wenn hat gesagt, als man beschwindelt die Schwarze. This led to the fact that the boss began to inquire from his assistants what that man had meant when he said that they cheat the blacks. Keiner von die Arbeiter hat nicht gewusst oder nicht gewollt wissen. None of the workers knew, or they didn't want to know. Die Ausforschung ist umgegangen in Kantor mit jedem Arbeiter besonder. This interrogation took place in the office of the boss with each worker separately. Meyer is gewesen der Letzte. Meyer was the last one to go to be interrogated. Sitzendig in office auf dem Stuhl hat Meyer nicht gekonnt beschließen, si soll reden oder nicht. Sitting in the office, Meyer couldn't decide whether he would speak or not. Der Ballerboss hat ihm angeguckt. The boss looked at him. Meyer hat getracht, and Meyer thought, sagen oder nicht, should I say something or not? Seine Wörter, wie hat es formuliert für sich und gehalten in Sinnen, zu sagen, die Arbeiter, hat gewusst, wird ihm kosten die Stelle. To say his words as he was formulating them and he was bearing them in mind to say about the workers, he knew that this would cost him the job. Aber bald hat sich der Mund sein Vaters Wärter. Ob es wird dir auskommen zu leiden der Fahr, sog ich dir leid. But soon he remembered his father's words to him. If it means that you need to suffer for this, I'm telling you, suffer.
In other words, excuse me, his father was urging him, if it means that you have to suffer to speak up and say what is correct, then you should be willing to suffer. That's what the father...
Rather suffer than say anything and to keep the job. Because if you say something, then you're going to
lose the job. Okay, so Moshe's advice was better to just suffer.
Suffer, okay. Yes, rather than speak out
and lose the job.
I think that's how I understand it. Meyer hat gesagt, der Ballerboss Meyer, the boss said, kannst du mir sagen, was der Kaferitnik hat gemeint mit der Beschuldigung, als wir seinen Schwindlers? Meyer, can you tell me what the Kaferitnik meant with the accusation that we're cheating? As wir barabbern die Schwarze, that we are robbing the blacks. Du verstehst, das ist doch eine ernste Beschuldigung. You understand that this is a serious accusation. Wenn man wisst sich es, if they would discover this, ich meine die falsche Beschuldigung in einem compound, weil ich werden ruiniert. If they discover this, and I mean this false accusation in the compound, I will be ruined. Hat gewiss gehabt in Sinnen dem Fakt, was man verbeit dem besseren und höheren gepreisten Artikel auf einen ärgeren und billigeren, hat Meyer gesagt. He certainly had in mind the fact that they change the better and higher priced article for an inferior and a cheaper one, Meyer said. Was heißt es? What does that mean? Hat der Ballerboss gesagt, verwundert. The boss said in surprise. Man nimmt zu das Geld bei sich und man gibt sie nicht die Schere? Do you mean they take the money from the customer and they don't give him the goods? Nein, nicht das, hat Meyer gesagt. No, I don't mean that. Es handelt sich wegen dem, they're talking about the situation. Oft, wenn der Schwarze kauft einen Artikel für einen gewissen Preis, verbeit man es auf einen billigeren und ärgeren. That often, when the black buys an article for a certain price, they change it for a cheaper and a worse article. For was man tut es, weiß ich nicht. Why they do this, I don't know. So, wo ist der Schwindel? So, where is the cheating? Hat der Ballerboss gefragt. The boss asked. Der Schwarzer Punkt wie ich und ihr Gufa ist berechtigt zu kriegen dem Artikel, was hat gekauft. The black, and just as you and I yourself deserve to get the article which they have bought, was ist gekauft und bezahlte den Preis, was man hat gebeten, and the article that they bought and paid the price which they asked. Okay.
Der Balabus hat benetzt die Lippen mit dem Spitzzung. The boss had, closed his lips with the Spitzzung.
He wet his lips.
Oh, he's wet his lips with his tongue. Der ständige Schmeichel auf seine Lippen, the continuous, the always present smile on his lips, was is verschwunden vorherige, which disappeared for a moment, is bald zurückgekommen, immediately reappeared. Du bist ein narrisch Jüngel, hat gesagt. You are a foolish boy, he said. Die Wegen und Methoden von Business seien dir noch fremd. The ways and the methods of business are still strange to you. Der Schwarze, wie dir is schon gewiss bekannt. The black person, as you undoubtedly have noticed, verdient nicht kein Sach, doesn't earn a lot. Kann sich nicht der Leuben zu kaufen, dem besseren Artikel. Therefore, he's not able to buy the best quality goods. Aber is a maven, or a mavin, but he understands. Kleidt ständig aus dem besseren Reckel und die bessere Koldre, und will es kriegen billig. So he is always looking for the best, is that the jacket? The best jacket and suit, and he wants to buy this for a cheap price. Oif off.
A cauldre is a blanket.
The blanket. Okay, thank you. So he wants to buy the best articles, but he wants to pay only a cheap price. Oifen kann man nicht tun kein business. On such a system, one cannot do business. Byt men über dem Artikel auf a billigeren. So we change the article for something cheaper. Der Kunde bekommt der richtigen Artikel von richtigen Preis. Ist das Schwindel? The customer gets the right article for the right price. Is that a swindle, Mayo? Wissendig, als die Schwarze können sich nicht erlauben zu kaufen den besseren Artikel, knowing that the black cannot buy the best article, Verwus nimmt man es rein in Geschäft? Why do you take them? Why do you take these articles, this kind of article, into the business? Hat Mayer gewollt wissen. Mayer wanted to know. Der Balabus hat geschwiegen. The boss was quiet. Mayer hat sich gestellt bei einem kleinen Fenster von dem Office. Mayer stood by the small window of the office. Von dannen hat gekonnt sehen dem ganzen compound. From this place, he could see the whole compound. Schwarze Arbeiter, naked bis die Lenden, verstäubt, upon him erst heraus von der Schachte, haben sich gezeugen in a Reihe vorbei a große Kirch. Black workers, naked to the hips, Lenden, dusty, apparently just now out from the, I don't know what a Schachte is, from the mine
shaft.
The mine
Mine
shaft. Yeah. Put themselves in a row near the big kitchen. Von wannen es hat geschlagen a Para. And out of this kitchen came a smoke, a Para. I would think of that as a big smoke. In die Hand hat jeder einer gehalten a blechenem emerald mit a zinnerem teller. In the hand, each one held a tin pail with a synonym, must be some sort of a tin plate. Beim Kirch hat jeder einer bekommen a Portia Pap und a Stickel Fleisch in Teller und Mahov in an emerald. Near the kitchen, each one would get a portion of pop. This is some kind of food that they would get on the plate.
It's
soda pop, isn't it? It's a drink.
I bet it's a food. I bet
corn,
it's a
ground corn.
So it's like a ground, a cornmeal,
Yeah.
and a piece of meat in the place. Un manhov.
Yeah, this machel is a milk drink.
And a milk drink in the pail.
It's like almost like a it's a fermented milk, like a yogurt, similar to yogurt, sour milk drink.
So they were getting this corn, some meat, and this milk product. A Teil von sie schon noch ein Essen, a group of them, already after eating, haben sich gewarmt auf der Sonne, sat and warmed themselves by the sun, haben gezielt Steckens mit Krellen. They, I don't know what that means. Steckens is nails, mit Krellen. I don't know what that
sticks. Sticks. They adorned sticks with beads.
With beads, Krellen, yes, beads. Haben geschoren einer der zweite der Haar. They combed each other's, one combed the other's hair. Haben gespielt auf Mäuel.
They cut their hair.
They cut their hair, geschoren. Einer der zweiten, they cut each other's hair. Haben gespielt auf Mäuel harmonicas. And they played on harmonicas. Meir hat getracht. Meir thought to himself, bald wellen ot die dosige Menschen sich herablassen, tausender Fuß unter der Erde. Immediately, these people are going to go 1,000 feet under the earth. War a Teil von sie, ob nicht für alle, kann es sein de letzte Nessia. For some of them, for a group of them, but not for everybody, this could be the last trip. A Fall von Steiner und a große Tragödie. If the stones fall, there would be a terrible tragedy. Unten Wellen, sie liegen in Hitz. in Feuchtigkeiten, in halben Choshech. Unten, underneath, well, they'll lie in the heat, in the Feuchtigkeit, in the dust, in the
dampness.
in the dampness, the Feuchtigkeit, right? The Feuchtigkeit, in the half darkness. They wollen ausgraben gold. They'll be mining gold. Mit Gold wird man bauen für sie Turmes. Man wird kaufen Gewehr, sie zu schießen. Aha. Und Konzessions, wo man wird fälschen Wog und Moss und verarbeiten Artikeln. With the gold, they will build Toyman spirals. Is that?
Prisons.
Prisons, Torment prisons. And they'll will buy weaponry that they'll shoot and concessions where there will be false weights and measures and switching of articles. Der Balabus hat gerecht. The boss spoke. Moshe. Moshe.
Yeah, sure. Just one word. Para is steam.
Steam, that's right, a para. My mother would talk about the para coming from it. Yes, thank you. I'll try and remember that. Although I remember Eleanor Bly's name. I do. Go ahead, please.
Okay. Mayor, wie lange arbeitest du bei mir? Mayor, how long have you been working here with me? 10 Chadoshim, 10 months. Bist du zufrieden? Are you satisfied? Ja, ich bin zufrieden. Yes, I am. Aber ich bin nicht zufrieden. But I am not satisfied. Ich habe getan meine Arbeit getan. I loyally did my work. Ja, aber du hast vergessen, was ich habe dir gesagt, bald von Anhieb. Yes, but you have forgotten what I told you right at the beginning. Hören, sehen und schweigen, sich nicht kribbeln in Sachen, was du verstehst nicht. Just to listen, to see, to keep quiet, and not to dig into things that you don't understand. Ihr habt mir gefragt, habe ich euch gesagt, you're the one who asked me a question, so I told you. I gave you a truthful answer. Und hat mir übergegeben, they have passed on to me, as du hast schon früher ein paar Mal bemerkt, that you have already on a few previous occasions remarked, as man fälscht vor, that they are falsifying weights and moss and measures, and andere ausgetrachter avlas and other thought and other sins that we have, that thought out of other sins that have been made,
fabricated,
fashioned,
Yeah.
fabricated, yeah.
Fabricated,
Thought out, Trachten, thought out, thought out. Zu lieb deinen Taten will ich dir nicht heraustreiben. Because of your dad, I won't chase you away. Es ist nicht dein Esig, mir anzuweisen, wie zu führen mein Geschäft. It's not none of your business to show me how to run my business. Du hast nur eine Aufgabe. You have only one task. Arbeiten und tun, was man heißt dir. Working and do what you are told to do. Meir hat sich gestellt an gegen den Boss und Meir placed himself opposite the boss und in an etwas aufgeregter Stimme hat gesagt, and in a somewhat angered voice, he said, Oipton, if it's just to do was man heist mir, Oipton was man heist mir, meint euch Felsen, Wogen, Moos und überweiten Artikeln werde ich Take-off gain suchen als Stelle anderswo. If doing what they are telling me to do means that I also have to falsify weights and measures and exchange articles. I will immediately go and look for another job somewhere else, maar stellen anders for a job somewhere else. Hast du es getan früher? Have you done it previously? Nay, no. Du bist dann narrisch, Ingle. You're a foolish young man. Stel sich arbeiten. Get back to your work. Go and work. Kapitel 15. Meir wordt gearbeitet, aber hat bald ausgefunden. Meir worked, but he soon found out as the Angestellte that the employees Kritzinger gebräucht, especially Kritzinger, ungeheben ihm verfolgen, started to torment him, persecute him, haben ihm gereizt, teased him mit Bemerkungen und Stechwörter, with remarks and barbed remarks, sharp remarks. Kritzinger hat ihm gegeben Arbeit. Kritzinger gave him work, was hat sich nicht ungehört mit ihm. That doesn't really apply to him. Meir hat nicht protestiert. Meir did protest. Hat die Angestellte ignoriert. He ignored the employees. Hat kiemat nicht geredet mit sie. He really didn't talk to them at all. In Abend ist gesessen bei sich im Zimmer und gelehnt. In the evening he sat alone in his room and read. Der Zweite in sein Zimmer hat euch nicht viel geredet. The second one in his room also didn't talk much. Is gewähnt vertieft in etwas, a Roman. He was deeply engaged in a novel, Ziabichel wegen sexueller Krankheiten, or else a book about sexual disorders, illnesses. Meir hat in jener Tag viel getracht wegen dem Gorrel und die Angestellte. Meir in those days thought a lot about the fate of the employees in the Geschäften und Concessions, in the businesses and concessions. What is Bichlal their Leben? What is their life like after all? Wohin führt their Lebensweg? Where is their life path taking them? Dem Antwort auf der Klassikerfrage oder erst paar Kommentaren später. The answer to this question he only received many years later. Der größte Teil seiner Arbeit auf Stelles bis weit in die 30er Jahren oder noch später. The greater part of their work was in jobs until late in the 30 years and even later than the 30s. Noch niet von Arbeiten freuen. After that, tired of work and women, ausgeledigt von jeder Idee und Ideal, totally emptied out of every idea and ideal, lost man sich verschattenen mit a bisschen Naden. They allowed themselves to be married off with a little bit of dowry, und man wird a kleiner Krämer, a Händler, a Spekulant, and then they became a small shopkeeper, a dealer, and a speculator. And oibes steht noch ergens a stickel ambitia, and if they're still glowing somewhere, a bit of ambition, treten sich herein als Gabe in a Schulachel, then you turn into a Gabe in a shul, in a Talmud Torah, in a school for kids, and werk Theasorger, you become someone who gives opinions in gesellschaftlichen Kreisen, in social circles. So you become sort of someone who gives opinion, ideas. I'm open to a better translation. It was also der sich der wusst, viel Jahren später, he only got to know this many years later, when Edie Konzessionszeilen schon gewesen, war ihm nicht mehr wie sich Reines. He only got to know this years later when both the butchery and the concession were only memories for him. Die böse Meersachaläumes, like angry, ugly dreams. Aber jetzt, but now, arbeiten die Kinder Konzession, working in the concession, what is him gemattert, it bothered him. Wenn man kurz die Balabatim nutzen sei, who other than, who is this benefiting other than the bosses? Wer äußert die Balabatim genießt von seiner Existenz? Who, aside from the bosses, benefits from their existence? When Meierburg was wird sein Geurl, and he Meierburg, what will be his fate? Wohin führt sein Lebensweg? Where does his life road lead to? When Wemmen puts dem Ballabos bringt Nutzen, and who is he useful for aside from the boss? Wenn wollte nicht gegeben dem Vater sein Wort, if he hadn't promised his dad, as wird bleiben arbeiten so long wie möglich, that he would remain working as long as possible, wollte weg von der Stelle, he would have left the job. Es wird schwer, becomes difficult, kimat unerträglich, die Feindschaft und die Angestellte, ihre bittere Rede und zu der Hachis actions, and it becomes very difficult, heavy, in fact, unbearable, the hostility of the employees, their bitter talk, and their spiteful acts. Aber der Sof ist gekommen umgerichtet. The end came unexpectedly of viele Vermehren, even for Meir, and it's a good place to stop so we can find out what the surprise was.